Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. All right everyone, the Mafia Romance Readathon 2026 announcement. It's so many words to get out. I'm so excited to be bringing you this readathon once again. It is truly like the only readathon that I just can't let go of. I don't want to. Though there is another readathon announcement that I got asked to participate in that I'm very excited to do. I'll have more info about that coming later this week. But I wanted to get this announcement out there so you can mark your calendars. I didn't want to sleep on it way too long because it's going to come up so fast. But yeah, this will be, I believe, I always mean to write this down, but I believe this is the 5th annual. It might be the 6th annual. I never remember if I started it in 2020 or 2021. I think I started in 2021. So this would be the 5th annual one. But anyway, it's Mafia May is coming up, and this year it will be going back to the shorter format. It's just going to be a weekend long one, just because that's easiest on me and on my hosts. But I hope what it does is it spurs you into wanting to read more Mafia. I hear every year that people give Mafia a go for the first time with the Mafia Readathon. And then there's those of us who use it as a chance to find new authors within Mafia, or to just read in a completely new read in a completely new area of Mafia, or however you want to do it. But I like to keep it really simple, but as the same as the last 2 years, we are going to be doing a bit more of a gamified version, but there still is always the opportunity to just use it as a chance to read it, because this will be only 4 days long. Maybe some people will only get through one book. Maybe you'll be able to get through several. But I hope that it inspires you to read Mafia. I love Mafia romance, and I just have the best time finding new authors within it, and that is something that I like to try to prioritize during it, as well as getting further in some of my favorite series. So anyway, we'll get into all that though. In this announcement video, I will introduce you to your hosts, all of which are returning hosts this year. We will go over the game part of it, which is still always personal game. There's no winners or losers. It's all up to you. And then I will go through all of the prompts, and something you can look forward to in the following weeks is I will be doing some Mafia rec videos to get everyone excited and to give you ideas, and also hopefully fill your prompts so you can get through as much as possible. Returning to co-host with me, we have the wonderful Helen from What Helen Reads. We have Amber from Amber Reads Romance. We have Kyan from Kyan is Booked. And we have Jess from Honest Fiction. Sending you the best of vibes, Jess. There's a bit of a joke that this readathon has been kind of cursed for Jess because something always seems to happen, but we are banishing that this year, that with it only being 4 days, that everything can just mind its damn business for 4 days and let Jess be a part of the readathon with us this year. But anywho, the readathon will run from May 7th to 10th, which is a Thursday to a Sunday, if I'm correct. We don't have dates for readathon stuff really yet for sprints or anything, so that is something to keep an eye out. Make sure you're following our pages, our Instagrams and stuff, because once we get a little closer, we will get the dates hammered down for this. I just don't like to make anyone commit to that stuff too soon because we don't know what'll happen anyway. But for sure, I will host either the kickoff I will host the finale of it, because I will announce the points and everything, and I'll show you what I mean by that in a minute. So, about the Mafia Romance Readathon. The goal of this readathon is simply to read as many Mafia romances as you can in the 4 days. this time is the same as the last couple ways. There are 2 different ways that you can play this or gamify it. Otherwise, again, you can just read as much Mafia as you want. Use the pretty TBR board and the completed reads to show us how you're doing. You also don't have to be on Instagram to do this at all. You can make your little boards in your journal or just keep track. I just want you to have fun, and you don't have to prove that you're reading to anyone but yourself. I just think some of us, part of the challenge is having people see what we're hitting, because it just helps with the motivation and everything. So one way is the normal of making bingos on the bingo board, but there is a max of 4 bingos, and then you also can earn points by completing oddly specific prompts. But the bingos and prompts are both worth points. And so the reason why we're earning points with our bingos, so there's more than just getting a bingo, is that at the end of the event, as I said in the wrap-up show, there will be a reveal of points. So this is the Mafia hierarchy, is how I labeled this. And it goes from Enforcer, which is the lowest level of like a role in the Mafia, a Capo, an underboss, the consigliere, who's the right hand, to the Don or the Donna. So that is the Mafia hierarchy. And now it is hidden from you guys. Only I know this. And don't worry, I adjust the points every year based on like how many days of readathon we have. And each of the levels is assigned a point value. So as an example, let's say by doing this whole readathon, you've gotten 50 points through your bingos and the prompts that you read and everything. And so the wrap up of the readathon, you show up to the live show or just check my Instagram or the YouTube community tab. And I know how many 50 points we'll get to, but I'm not going to say that right now because I just like people to read as much as they can and not be too stressed about it. And then it's a fun reveal to see what level you made it to. But 50 points, let's say as an example, got you to underboss. I'm not confirming that that's what that actually is. I just literally made that up. And so you don't know which level of the hierarchy you'll make it to, but the point is to try to get as high in it as you can. So yeah, and how we do that is the Mafia board and everything. So, I will go through the Mafia board, which is a 4x4 set board, okay? But the good part of it is that you can still get a point for every prompt you complete on the board. And before you've even started the readathon, you're probably going to have like 3 or 4 points because some of these bricks on here, literally, if you're competing in the readathon at all, or participating is what I mean, you will have some of them. And the point of the board is for it to be pretty easy. Like I said, I don't want anyone to feel defeated by this. There's no reason for anyone to feel that. This is all for fun. Yeah, but I have a set board this time around so that I did this the last couple of years and I just found that it was easier. Because again, if you're not wanting to do the bingo board, you can just try to hit as many prompts as you would like to. And you can still get the points of the other prompts without even really putting it on the bingo board, but I don't know why you wouldn't want to. Also on the bingo board, well, let's go through it. I'm overlapping and then I'll answer, like I have a FAQ in my document. And by the way, this document that I'm reading from, as well as all the graphics, will be linked below. I have a Google Drive that should be available to everyone. So you will be able to download these graphics to, again, either straight up just put it in your journal for yourself or use it on Instagram. But I have 16 prompts that are on the set board. And then this year, though, because we only have the 4 days to do it, I did kind of streamline the other prompts a little bit. In the previous years, there was 2-point, 3-point, and 5-point oddly specific prompts. And this year what I did is I got rid of the 3-point prompt here and I just smushed all the prompts together in the 2 and 3. And me and my co-hosts, I asked for their opinions as well. And I picked 10 prompts that are worth 2 points each. And then as always, I still have 5 pointers that are a rec from each of us. And I asked the host to not pick a book that they've picked before. And I think that we were all able to pick new books. So hopefully there aren't recs that people have read, because that was kind of the thing I was thinking too, is that in a previous year, I had everyone pick like their absolute favorite one to be the host rec that was worth 5 points. And a lot of them were like the classic Mafia reads that a lot of people have already read. So then that became not as, fun if to get the most points, you had to reread a book you've already read, right? Not that that's not really fun, but it doesn't really help with the trying new authors and getting out there if you're having to read ones you've read before. But anyway, so on the set bingo board, let's go through what the squares are. We'll go through all the prompts, and then I will go through some questions about how you add up the points, how the bingos work, because it always sounds more complicated than it is once you're actually checking off prompts and adding up the points. It's a lot simpler than I make it sound. But the point is that everything only counts once. So there's a set amount of points that people are able to get. Like if you somehow in 4 days were able to gamify it and read everything, which I'm not even saying is impossible, because some people read a lot faster than I do, or you'll find shorter books that do this or whatever. There is a max amount of points that people can get because you can only do everything once. So let's go through all the prompts, and as I do that, I will explain them. And then again, for some of these, I will, there'll be videos for these. I've made a video for almost every single thing that's on here at some point, and I'll be updating some of those lists. And then there's my co-hosts who, particularly some of these ladies, particularly Helen, she has done a ton of recommendations for Mafia. Mafia is kind of her specialty as well. So you will be able to find a rec for all of these. But anyway, starting with the set board with the 16 prompts. So just kind of the basic ones that don't really need their explanation. There's an audiobook prompt. There's follow all of the hosts. And in this way, you can follow either our YouTubes or our Instagram, and you probably already are following all of us if you're doing this readathon because, or if you've done this before because you also had to follow them last year. There's also the post your TBR. And the way that this works, if you don't have like a YouTube channel or Instagram to post it, you can either comment your TBR on one of the hosts' TBR videos for May, or for their, if you want to put it in this announcement video when it gets up, or when I do my TBR for May, I will talk about it on there because I'll obviously be talking about the Mafia Readathon, or I will put a community post up the day before the readathon, probably a couple days before. And you can put your TBR there and that will count. So you're sharing your TBR in anywhere public. It can be in the comments of something, or like a lot of people who have their Instagrams, you can share it there. And that counts as posting your TBR. Read any rec from a host. So this post or this prompt is for any time we've ever recommended a book. That's a Mafia one. The only caveat to this one is that this doesn't count on top of the 5-point rec. Okay. So if you read the 5-point rec, you're not also checking off a rec from a host. Okay. Even if one of us has also recommended the book that is one of them, you get what I mean? Like you're not doubling up that one. But in any video ever that I've recommended a Mafia book that you're picking, you can use it, and the same for any of the hosts. Okay. And you'll see why, like, it'll be nice to have that as another prompt because, again, everything can only be used one time. So if you've already like read my choice for what a rec is, you'd still be able to, read a different one that I've rec'd and have it count for that, Okay. So those are kind of those ones. Then we have our standard 4 different kinds of mafia that are the most popular. Those ones are on the board because they're going to be like 80%, in my opinion, of the mafia is one of these kind. So there's the Italian mafia. This is the general Italian mafia. Usually the ones that are in the United States or Canada that are Italian are just going to fit under the mob thing. Talk more about that later. The Irish mob, pretty self-explanatory. The Bratva, this will be the Russian mafia as well. Anytime you hear pecan in a book or a title, that's going to be Russian or Bratva. They're usually found everywhere, but anytime you hear Russian, that's Bratva. Cosa Nostra. Now this is where it can be a bit confusing, but the main difference of this is that the Cosa Nostra is the Sicilian mafia, and they're also what's generally considered like the OG Italian mafia. And this is why I have listed on the board prompts that Italian mafia is the general Italian mafia, because a lot of the Italian mafia is spin-offs or second or third generation, probably even more than that, but they no longer call themselves like the Sicilian mafia anymore. The Sicilian mafia, the Cosa Nostra, are from a very specific, they're from Sicily, and that is the like OG mafia family. It's often even called like the family. But once you get enough generations out, now they're just kind of the Italian mafia. Now, I will have plenty of recommendations for this, and there's way more than you think there are. But that is kind of one of the key differences, is basically like if they are Italian mafia, but they don't call themselves Cosa Nostra, then they're general Italian mafia, right? But the Cosa Nostra will often delineate themselves because they feel like they're a bit better than that, right? Better than this. So like there's Cosa Nostra mentioned in like Neva Altai books. There is in the Italian king or the kings of Italy. Those are Sicilian, like actually take place in Sicily, so things like that. Anyway, we're not gonna dive in too deep in there, but in general, you'll be able to tell because they'll say they're Cosa Nostra, and if they don't, then assume it's general mafia. Good rule of thumb. Okay, so those are the 4 kind of main types of families that you'll see. We'll talk more about other kinds in the 2-pointers. All right, next in a series, this one is you have already started the series previous to the readathon and are now continuing it, or you, let's say, read the first book in a series during the readathon, but now you want to continue and you're like, I just decided I want to binge this series. So that is the time that next in a series will count. You have to have read a previous book in the series, okay? So if you get one of the recs from us and you want to start on the 4th book, that only counts if you've read one of the previous books in the series as a next in series, okay? It's a person-to-person based thing if it's next for you. Red on the cover, pretty basic, but this can be any version of the book that is red on the cover, okay? If you have a physical copy and it's a special edition, fine. So it's the physical book, ebook, audiobook, a special edition, any edition, even if it's been recovered, if it has red on the cover, and that's what you are going with, it counts. A new to you author, easy. You have not previously read them before the readathon. Arranged marriage. This is, I feel silly explaining it, but a marriage deal agreed upon by the parties for reasons other than or not just love. Once in a while, the arranged marriage. Usually the love comes after, but arranged marriage. Age gap. For this, I did actually put a delineation this time because someone always wants to nitpick a question, and I appreciate that game. So in this case, an age gap for the purposes of this readathon is an age difference of at least 5 or more years between the main characters. It can go in either direction. This means like I don't have the reverse age gap as a prompt this year. That was one that was always a 3-pointer because there are literally, in all of Mafia I've read, I've only ever found 2 of them. So that's one of the prompts that I scrapped because I was like, this one's almost impossible to find. And there's only a couple books that have that. But even in this case, the man is older by at least 5 years, or the woman again, but the age difference between the MCs is at least 5 years or more. It's an age gap. Captor captive. One of the parties kidnaps and holds the other party captive, and the romance is between them. So the only reason I put the differences there is, let's say his dad is the one kidnapping her, and he doesn't have anything to do with the kidnapping, and then they fall in love. So not that kind. The kind where he's the one who does the kidnapping, and then they fall in love. The hero is a boss. So the MC in the romance is a leader of the mafia or mafia family in some manner. This can also be heroine. Just again, I got rid of the prompt this year that was the heroine is a boss or a capo, because also there's only a couple of those. There's one or two of those, but you can interchange those if you want to. I just think having the hero be the boss is going to be a much easier find for the first prompt. For a one, the hero is most likely to be a boss of some kind. Rival families. So this involves, we got our Romeo and Juliet situation here going on. So this often doubles up well with an arranged marriage. Let's say they're trying to make a peace deal, but there's rival families. So in any aspect where the families have been at war or there's tensions between them, this isn't just as simple as they are enemies to lovers, because their families don't necessarily have to be rivals for that to happen. But an example I'm just pointing out once, like Broken Whispers, that's between the Italian mafia and the Bratva, right? These are always a really great, you can see why a lot of these ones are one-pointers on here, because they will stack very easily with each other, right? Like a rival family who has an arranged marriage, there's an age gap, and it's the Italian mafia and the Irish mob. Like, that is probably going to get you a bingo. I can't remember where I placed all those on the board, because like I said, it's a set board this year, but that's a 4-point thing right there, right? From one book. Oh, that's it. Yep, rival families. And then the other ones are the prompts I already said. So those are all of the one-pointers on the bingo board. And again, we'll come back to how we score the bingo board in a minute. But now I'm going to talk about the 10 oddly specific prompts this year. So like I said, this actually isn't reducing it much. You'll see what I mean, because I smushed a few prompts together. And then like I said, I asked the advice of my co-hosts what their thoughts on. And I did switch out a couple of prompts in here too, just because we've been doing a lot of the same ones. But yeah, I made these ones 2 points, and there's 10 of them. So, and again, you can only use each of these one time. But the 10 oddly specific prompts are, the first one here is organized crime of any kind, organized crime family of any kind. Okay. So in previous years, in the 2 and 3 points, we had the cartel, the Yakuza, and those were each a separate prompt. So this time around, what I did, we smushed them together. And again, this one can't stack with the other 4. Like if you're reading one and it's one of those other ones, you count those prompts for those. This is only if you're reading one that isn't listed on the board, right? This also means if you've already crossed off the other ones, like you still don't use this one, okay? This one is only for if you're reading one that's not on the board, okay? So there's no like loopholes to get around that of like, I've read those ones, but now I'm reading another Italian mafia. Let me count this. No, it's supposed to be organized crime of any kind that's not already on the board, okay? But this can be anything, and let me list a few. It can be the cartel, it can be the Yakuza, it can be Serbian, it can be dark cowboy. Think of some of those that they basically have like an organized crime family going on, like the Sovereign Mountain books, the series by Maggie Rodden. They're basically a crime family. So any of those types would count. That's something I wanted to expand it to this year, is that it's an organized crime group of any kind. So this could be any other gangsters of unknown origin, but it needs to be one where they're not in there. Now, again, this could stack because like there is a romance in Neva Altai series that is the Albanian, I think it's Albanian or Serbian. I can't remember which one, but it's the one where the hero is partially deaf. And she's from the Cosa Nostra. So like that would count as a point for Cosa Nostra, and it would count as organized crime of any kind because their family isn't one of those 4, okay? But what I'm saying is you can't solely use that one if it doesn't include one that's not on there. Does that make sense? You'll see once you're reading it, right? So yeah. Then we have released before the year 2020. So this is a great one. I've made a video about this before. This is our prompt that's for a lot of the, you know, classic mafias in our subgenre of this year. You know, there's Cora Riley, there's, wow, I've just forgot everyone's name, but you know, I've made a whole video on this one before. But one caveat I want to point out is that if it was pulled to be republished or later put in TradPub, it still counts. Whatever the original date of the first book that was put out, as long as that is before 2020, you know, usually it's going to be from 2015 to 2020 is that time we're looking at. You can count that as this, you know, because if it got pulled for repub, that's not the original date, you know. So go by the earliest date the first book was put out. You know, if it's December 2019 or earlier, you can count it for this prompt. The book has less than 1,000 ratings on Goodreads. So this is a great way to either discover a very little known book or one that is a new release, right? If you catch it before it has over 1,000 ratings. So I love putting this prompt on there to encourage people to find them. And I think I've also made a video on this one. Like I said, I'm going to be redoing and updating quite a few of these. And I plan to also do a video like I have before that is like a mega rec video that touches on a lot of these smaller ones. Okay, another 2-pointer is A Woman on the Run. So this is a female main character that has to go on the run to either escape an abusive family, spouse, or situation. There's not much wiggle room there. It is, in that case, the female MC on the run because that's the point of that trope is the woman on the run. A fairy tale retelling. This is always really fun too. So this can be very loosely interpreted. You know, if it's inspired by, just use your best judgment. I'm going to say this about a lot of these. Like if you would tell someone else to count it for yourself. Like I'm not trying to be the police with this. Just some of these are oddly specific because they're oddly specific. That's why I seem like nitpicking. It's not about trying to make this more difficult. It's just, that's the point of them being oddly specific is that they fit into that really, you know, small area. But this can be a Beauty and the Beast type reimagining, but, you know, really think like Red Riding Hood, Cinderella, Snow White, Little Mermaid. There's some, you know, mafia series that's literally what they are is retellings, right? Even like Anastasia, I know that's not a fairy tale, but you get the idea, like that kind of thing, a reimagining of like a fairy tale or myth even, let's say. An assassin. So one of the MCs is sent to murder the other, or it's just their profession. So an example of this, I just read one like this, and now I've forgotten the name, but his job is a mafia assassin, but he isn't sent to kill her. But yeah, that kind of one there. And that can be male or female. There are female assassins in there too. There's some good ones with that. Okay, single parent. I think we got that. I think we all know who what that would be. Okay, here's what I'm excited about. Royalty in the title. So this time, usually I have a prompt that has vicious or ruthless or dark or vicious in the title or something like that. And this time around, I did royalty in the title. And I did that because there's so many good ones. So yeah, any type of royalty, prince, princess, king, queen, emperor or empress. That's one I wanted to point out because his Empress actually comes out this month and I'll be reading that one. So I'm hoping to recommend it to people. But I also think that like Jagger Cole has one that has like emperor in the title. I haven't read in that series yet. But yeah, so any type of royalty in the title, like Vicious King, Dark Mafia Prince, Mafia Princess, his Emperor, like any like those. So any type of royalty in the title. And then disability or neurodivergent rep. So this is up to your discretion what you consider to be a disability though. But we're thinking like, chronic pain diseases, amputated limbs, characters on the spectrum for neurodivergent rep, mobility issues, deaf or speechless characters. So any of that, there are some great recs for that. That's one of my favorite ones. So I always keep that prompt around. I love that one. And then the final 2-point prompt is queer or LGBTQAI plus recs. So this can also include this year menage or why choose romances, though I hope there's a, at least a bi character or, we have something in there to make it that more than it just being like a, like an MFM or why choose. But I put that on there just in case it's a 2.1. So however you want to make it work. Obviously, there's many more options for Romance in Mafia coming out all the time, right? Like Rena Kent now has 3 to choose from. Jagger Cole has 1. There's some older ones I've read before, so those are all great ones. And then finally, we arrive at our 5-point prompts, and these are the 5 host recs, okay? So again, these are ones that only count, what was I saying? Anyway, these count for the 5-point, but of course, they can still stack with all of the other prompts as well, just only one time, like we've been saying. That's what I was going to say. This is probably the easiest one to only use the prompt one time because of what it is. But, all right, let's go through these. So my recommendation is Unholy Vows by Mila Kane. Very excited to pick this one. Helen recommends The Kingpin's Call Girl by Annika Martin. Very intrigued by that one. King of Obsession by Bianca Burrell is Amber's recommendation. His Tesoro by Amelia Rossi is Kyan's recommendation. And Mafia Mistress by Mila Finelli is Jess's recommendation. Okay? So those will be the 5 books to pick from that are 5-pointers. Okay? So now the final little piece here is discussing how the bingo board works and how you score it. Okay? Which again, I know can seem confusing, but the way it works basically is that each prompt is only worth 1 point. When you get a bingo, that's a bonus 5 points. But you can only get up to 4 bingos. If you black out the board, though, not only will you have gotten the 16 points for every, when you're getting to, the 20 points for the 4 bingos you've gotten, but also you get a bonus of 10 points if you black out the board, which I do think will be, even harder to do in a 4-day readathon. But so the way that works is that the max points for the bingo board, if you have blacked it out, you can get, where did I write it down? Sorry. It should be, yes, you can get 46 points for the whole board, right? Then all of the oddly specific prompts, which are the 10 2-pointer prompts and the 5 5-point prompts, which are, if somehow you were able to read all 5 of our recs, that is a total of 45 points. So somehow, again, don't know if anyone will possibly be able to do this in 4 days. Seems like quite a feat. If you were able to get every possible point in the readathon, it is 91 points. So the very highest score you can get is 91. All right. Don't worry, getting the Donna, you do not have to get 91 points. I promise you, even though it's a secret, the point levels are very reasonable, I promise. Basically, if you get 1 bingo, you're already quite a way up the ladder, right? Because the first bingo that you get is a minimum of 9 points, right? So let me re-explain this again. Each point on the board is 1 point, right? So as you're checking them off, you're getting a point for those. When you get your first bingo, you are getting 5 points for it. And you will have gotten the points that you checked off. Now, I think this can confuse people because it's like, again, as you're finishing the books, you maybe aren't getting a bingo with every book. So you can be counting the points as you just check them off one by one. But most realistically, let's say you read your second book and there is only one new prompt you had to check off and now you have a bingo. So that would have been 6 points for that bingo because you got 1 point for checking off another box that gave you the bingo. And then you got 5 points for the bingo. So that was like 6 points. But anyway, really the easiest way to count it, this is the best way to do it, is just go about your business, checking off as many as you get. And then when when the readathon is over, you count up how many squares are checked off. Let's say you have 13 of the squares checked off and you've gotten 3 bingos, right? So you would have the 9 points for, that is a mistake. You have 15 points for getting 3 bingos, and you'd have 13 points for the 13 squares you checked off. So you'd add that together. That's 28, right, for the bingo board. Then, and you'll see this too on how I laid out the scorecard. The scorecard, I try to make it easier to explain how to count it up. But let's say you have 26 points for your bingo board. Then let's say you've gotten 6 of the 2-pointers, so that would be 12 points there. Add that to your 28, you're up to 40. And let's say you read 2 of our recs, which is 10 points. So now for the readathon, you've gotten 50 points. You show up to the finale show or check the board and you'll see where 50 points got you on the Mafia hierarchy. Okay? So I hope I didn't make that more confusing by doing it. Again, I promise it's really not. There'll be the scorecard to look at. You'll check it off. And I even have the little points listed on one of them. So you'll just, write how many you got on the bingo board and then how many you got for oddly specific prompts. And then that's your total. Okay? So feel free to ask any questions you have to about it, but it is simpler than it sounds. And this is the 3rd year that I've done it this way with the points. And so lots of people will understand how to explain it. Just ask in the comments. If I don't get back to you right away, someone will, and one of my hosts will as well. Again, to round this off, because this announcement video has gotten longer than it needed to be, because that's how I go. This is just about reading as much Mafia as you can, having a great time. As I said, I really like to use it to find some brand new authors. Like there's the last 2 years, I made it a goal to only read new to me authors. And I'm going to try to do that again, except for one series that I want to continue in. I want to continue with Michelle Hurd's series, so I'll be doing that. But 2 of the recs from hosts, I haven't even heard of the book before that they recommended. So I'm hoping to read at least one of my host recommendations from my friends. And I can't wait to see what we find. So anyway, I hope you will want to participate with us. Again, make sure you're following my co-hosts and keep an eye out for recommendation videos from us. I'll be posting recs on my Instagram as well. And I really just can't wait to see what this year brings us. And just a final note, as I said, there is another readathon I'll be participating in May that is for the whole month of May. My announcement for that will be coming in a couple of days. But the character, let's just say that I picked in that one, I picked one that would work with Mafia reads, and you'll see what I mean when I talk about it. So hopefully a lot of you will want to participate in both readathons because the Mafia readathon should easily overlap with this one. When I agreed to participate in that one, I made it known that I was like, hey, for these 4 days, I'll be doing the Mafia readathon. Will this be a problem? And she was like, no, anything you're reading for Mafia readathon will also count for this other one. So lots of fun stuff. I'm very excited. And yeah, let me know down below if you're going to participate this year, how many years you've participated in the past, maybe what your favorite book is that you read because of the Mafia readathon. I would love to hear it. So thank you so much for watching, friends, and we'll see you soon.